Okay, she's a supermodel. She's an activist. She's a YouTube star. And now she's on my show, At Home with Hyla. Naomi Campbell, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
You know,
How
I
are
want
you,
to.
Hyla?
I'm okay, and I want to start with a redemption story. Okay, a year ago, you posted a video that went viral. It's a video of you disinfecting an entire airplane seat, and a lot of people gave you some shit for it. Hold on, I want to play this clip real quick.
Face mask. Then, I'm actually looking for my gloves, which is the best part of the whole thing. So I can clean everything you touch. Anything that you could possibly touch is what they do. All this stuff. Anything that you put your hands on, everything.
Okay, so clearly the redemption is yours. You're having the last laugh because this is the world that we live in now, disinfecting everything.
I mean, I'm not laughing because this is a very serious situation that we're in. But I didn't know that until lockdown that people had slagged me for it or thought, whatever. And that's their opinion. But in my case, I travel so much, or did used to travel so much, that was what I needed to do to make me feel comfortable. Without any disrespect to any particular airline, it's just something I do. I've been doing it for like close to 18 years. And my girlfriend just said, can I film it? And it was as simple as that. And I let her film it. And that's what I do.
Airplanes are dirty. Like, they're all dirty. Doesn't matter the airline. They're gross. You got to clean them. I feel you on that. Well, like you said, listen, COVID, there's two sides of COVID. There is a lot of pain that people are going through. At the same time, we've all had a chance to stop and just be present with our thoughts and think. And I think a lot of people are having revelations. What are some things that have struck you during this time to just stop and think and be with yourself?
Oh my goodness, there's been so many things, Hyla, that's just to be still for me is a big deal. And so I'm hearing a lot of things of people that mental health has really come up strongly during this time for a lot of people. And people that are used to being in one place are finding it hard just knowing that they have restrictions. And I guess for me, it's the opposite. I'm okay with the restrictions and I want to stay still. But I have a big compassion and empathy for those that are suffering for the reverse way. And I've just got to reflect about a lot of things, but most of all, the simplicity of things that we take for granted, even just to walk on the grass, even what it feels like just to hug someone that you love. It's things like that those things are very important, human contact and human touch, and we cannot do that now.
Yeah. So what have you been doing during lockdown to stay sane? I know in parts of the world are opening up, but here you and I both live in Los Angeles. It looks like we're going to be going in and out of different degrees of lockdown for the next couple months. So like, what are you doing to stay sane?
I kept myself busy. I work out every day, and then I decided to show it live on Instagram and have everyone work out with me if they chose to, just because I believe physical health is also good for mental health. And so that would start off with that. And then I wanted to know what my friends were doing. And so I started doing this show called No Filter with Naomi for my YouTube channel. And then that grew into something else. And so that's what I'm doing. Now I'm on season 2. I took a hiatus and now I'm back with the show. And my days, there's so many things to do. And then, getting to do things like this with you, Hyla, and trying to honor the things, the commitments that I said I would do if that I was going physically to now do virtually. So I've kept busy. And then shooting myself for Essence cover, which was their 50th anniversary, shooting myself for the Valentino campaign. So I'm learning. There's lots of stuff that I'm learning. I'm not technical, and I tell everybody it takes me a minute, but I've learned a lot of things. And besides the regular household things like cleaning, cooking, laundry.
Yeah, it's interesting. We are all, especially us in the entertainment industry, creative industry, we're all having to do the jobs of 10, 20, 30 people that we would normally have
It's,
on set. You're doing, I mean, we just had to deal with a microphone for 20 minutes. It's just kind of what we do now.
I know, and I have to tell you, having some of this equipment, like when I got it when I was doing the Essence pictures, I looked at that box for like a week, intimidated to open it up because I was like, I'm just afraid of it. How am I going to put this all together? I'm on my own. How do I connect this? How do I take the picture? How does that clicker connect to that? It's, so, I'll be honest, I wasn't reading brochures before. I'd have someone help me put it all together. Now I have to read and look at everything closely, need my glasses to like make sure I didn't miss anything. Codes have to be punched in every 2 seconds for things. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new world.
Well, you said
But
that
I appreciate all the great creativeness that I've seen come out of COVID-19. There's been some incredible things from DJ Nice, giving people a happiness for a few hours a day with his music. And, Sean P. Diddy Combs doing his dance-a-thon, and to see all the graduation things that Emerson and HQ, my friend, Rustin Ali and Laureen Jobs' organization do. There's been some wonderful things that have come out of things that I never thought I would ever see.
totally.
Little children making water tanks in Africa.
It's been amazing to see what people come up with. And I'm curious, the fashion industry, how do you think this will impact we're not going to see, a jam-packed runway anytime soon, right? And there's not fancy parties to wear fancy outfits to. I mean, people get excited about putting on a suit to go to the grocery store. So what?
I can't tell you, since the last time I wore a pair of high heels was in March, and I'm not missing them.
Yeah.
I'm so happy in my slippers and sneakers.
Yeah. So what does the COVID fashion look like for the next year? How are people going to dress?
I mean, I can tell you this. There is a fashion show. People are doing fashion. I heard this yesterday. There are brands that are going to do fashion shows in a couple of weeks, and they're doing it without an audience. So how they space out the models, I'm not sure how that's all going to work, but there are shows. Shows will start again. That's what I was told.
Interesting. Well, okay. So,
how do you dress? Did you say?
Yeah. How, what about, because I'm comfortable in my sweatpants and my sandals. That's what I've been wearing.
Well, I'm in my slippers. Slippers. I don't know if you saw those. And I mean, yeah, I put on a little summer dresses. I'm in my fitness clothes in the morning. But I mean, I'm dressing as if, not like I'm going out, but I'm dressing comfortably. And, it's for me to feel, I want to still feel good, because that's all part of make it healthy mind, body, and spirit. So I still,
So let's talk a little bit about No Filter, your YouTube show. Season 1, you started in COVID, but it was before Black Lives Matter. So there was some fun that you were having and engaging in the conversations with your friends. Season 2, much more serious. We're talking about a civil rights movement, possibly the biggest in our lifetime. Talk about just kind of the conversations that you've been having with your friends. Of, you've been in this industry a very long time, and just like every other institution, fashion is also reckoning with its racism.
Yes, it is. They are absolutely right. The conversations I've been having are ones of hope and the change that we're going to have and the things that we're going to do when we go into this change. We're already changing, actually. We're in the change. We're not waiting for an apology, although that would be very nice to have an apology, to be recognized that an apology is needed. Also, that would be very nice. But we know we have to do the change ourselves, and that's what we're doing. So in terms of fashion, I work with Beth Ann, and we've started this balanced diversity campaign since 2009. And actually going back to 1988 when we started the Black Girls Coalition, and then Balanced Diversity came after that. So it's something that's ongoing for us. So we're still doing what we're doing. We may accelerate a little stronger, but we're doing the same thing. Never stopped doing. And I've never not opened my mouth on that subject. Now talking to everyone, because a lot of people feel uncomfortable to speak about this in the sense of, oh, they're going to say they're complaining, they're using that as an excuse, da, 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 da. And I have to say, I never used to use the word, I didn't get that because of racism. Never did I say that, because I felt that was too easy for me to say and use it as an excuse. No, I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to find another way to get around this challenging situation and to change the mind of those territorial, ignorant few. And that's how I would go about it. So,
yeah, I went and I did a deep dive, and I was watching a bunch of old interviews with you, like from the 90s, early 2000s. And I noticed that all your interviews were all with white guys, and almost always you would get asked a question about your temper, or you would get a question asked about your attitude. And it wasn't anything that was any more egregious than any man was doing. And you clearly can see the sexism and racism that was happening, and the standards of a young, strong, opinion Black woman was having, and how that was so disruptive and uncomfortable for people.
I honestly, Hyla, thank you for bringing this up, because honestly, it's just like you said, it was okay if it was put to a man, because I spoke up at such an early age. Because when I really understood this, it was about 18. And thank God I had a mother who had taught me and told me, you cannot take these things personally. She told me from the get-go. One of the reasons why she didn't really want me to model is because she didn't want me to have to face the rejection. And so I had to go back to the basis of what my mother had told me. And then I had Beth Ann in my life too, that I could talk to and bounce things off, as she was a very successful model herself. And also my background from school. I went to a school of theatre arts. So I knew what it was like to be competitive and to be ambitious, but not to step on hurt someone else in the process. But I never knew what it was like to be told no for the color of your skin. So, I mean, no matter how I can sit here and tell you it wasn't hurtful, it was. But I would stay hurt for like a couple hours, but then the hurt would it's going to turn into a drive. And that's how I would use it. And, I was called difficult because I spoke up. But I would always say a man's never called difficult when he speaks up, or my counterparts would never be called difficult if they spoke up. So I stuck with that label for many, many years. And now we're all speaking up. Is it okay?
Well, and what's interesting is that difficulty would be a way to describe, at the least, your entry into the modeling world. I mean, there were some stories that I thought were really fascinating. The fact that you showed up to a cover shoot and they didn't know you were Black and they didn't have the right makeup and you had to have your own foundation, or when you found out you weren't getting paid as much as the white models.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that makeup artist, I forgot his name. He was an older Italian gentleman. He wasn't rude, but I was new. Why should he know who I was? But I think you would ask and find out about the person you're going to shoot. I mean, I don't know what they told him. I came in there and that was the situation. And I was stunned. I'm not going to say I wasn't. I was stunned. It did hurt me for a second. Then I had to remember and say, I came here for this. Now am I not going to get this cover? No, how are we going to solve this situation? I was in Italy, and so that you could run to a store and find Black makeup. You couldn't. So, they had to make with what I had and what they had. I don't think I had anything at the time. That's the problem. So they had to improvise. And you clearly see the picture. You see that I'm gray. You see it.
Yeah. There's a interview that I found where someone asked you about being Black and entering into the modeling world. Let's just play a clip of this.
Do you think it's harder for Black girls to make it to the top in modeling?
Yeah, it's getting better, I think, now, like all over America, London, Paris, Milan. And at first, I think it was a trend, and now I think in terms of like cosmetic contracts and stuff like that, they're trying to market ethnic women, which has taken a long time to happen, because usually it's you can have like 10 cosmetic contracts, but not one of them are for ethnic women.
That's
and
right.
Now they're considering that, and they're thinking that, well, yeah, Japanese or a Jamaican woman is going to want to buy this makeup, so let's start making it and marketing it.
So Naomi, first of all, what do you think? Like, who's that young person? How is that Naomi different than today's Naomi? And just kind of reflecting now that you have the history to look back on where you were then and where we are now.
Goodness, that Naomi, still a lot of her is in me now. That driven, that fighter of wanting to be equal. Obviously, I've grown up a lot in the sense of matured in many other ways. But the basis of the foundation of that girl is still there. And that's why I'm still doing the job that I do, because I felt so many times like I should stop. But then it was like, but I'm still not seeing the improvements. And if I've got to fight for the improvements, what's my little babies after me? What's these little beautiful young baby models coming into this business going to have to do? How are they going to stand up for themselves? That's why it was so great to be a part with Iman and Beth Ann, because, you know, we three said, okay, between the three of us collectively, we can use our voices to help the new young generation of models coming in of all diversities.
Okay, we just have another minute or two left with you. I'd like to try and play a game with you. It's called a creative quiz. I'm just going to ask you a series of questions in 60 seconds. There are no wrong answers, and you just give me the best response that you can.
All right.
You got this. You're gonna be a pro. You got this. Come on. You're a YouTuber. This is what YouTubers do now. Okay, here we go and start. Question number 1. If you had to start an intergalactic dating website, what would you call it?
Intergalactic dating website. Foundation.
Foundation, that's great. What's a fun conspiracy theory you would like to start?
I don't believe in them. That we're gonna get a second chance.
Okay. Let's see. Finish this sentence. This one time I went to blank.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
The first thing that pops in your head.
Oh my God, this one time I went to a Nirvana concert and I had no tickets and I blagged my way in.
What? That's an amazing story. Did you meet Kurt Cobain?
Yeah. We met them all. It's Christy, Kate, and I. I just finished cooking Sunday roast. It was in New York in the 90s. And we were like, oh, Nirvana's playing at the Coliseum. They don't have it anymore. It's gone. And we were like, well, should we go? How are we going to get in? We got no tickets. We're going to say, let's just go there and see, oh, do you have our tickets? And they were like, no. It was like, are you sure such and such left us these tickets? You must look again. And they felt like so bad. And they were like, just go in.
Amazing. That's how you do it. That's how it's done. Last question. If aliens were interrogating you, what is one thing about the Earth that you would not tell them, that you would keep a secret?
I actually would want to know what the aliens have to tell us. That's what I'd want to know. I'd be listening to them intently.
I'll reframe the question. If you had a chance to interrogate an alien, what would you ask them?
How do we cure this world of disease? How do we do disease prevention? What is it we have to do? What is it that we have to do in changing our lives so that we never have this happen to us again?
Let's start by wearing masks.
I don't think aliens can get diseases.
That's a good theory. I like that theory.
Aliens can't get a disease.
She knows because she talked to aliens. That's the secret she's not telling us.
They came to me last night.
Naomi Campbell, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Helen. Congratulations on your newborn.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for waiting for me. Thank you so, so much.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.